Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our college football predictions for week 3. Last week was a pretty good week. I went 10 and 2. Total season record is 15 and 7. And now we're looking at teams. Some teams are starting conference play, like this game, for example. We have the North Carolina State Wolfpack taking on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. State beat Virginia, and I do need to apologize for what I said last week. I said this game was a last week's game was a conference game. Turned out it was a non-conference game. They scheduled a head-to-head. Okay, whatever. But State wound up coming up on top, while Wake Forest beat Western Carolina on a much better outing for Wake than what happened to them last week, where they almost blew it against Kennesaw State. Even though this game is going to be played in Wake Forest, I actually will be at this game. I'm going to go with NC State to take the road win. Is because I think State's just playing better ball. They'll be starting the season off 3-0. And now we got a Friday game between the Colorado Buffaloes taking on the Houston Cougars. Colorado getting a win against Delaware State, and it looks like quarterback Ryan Staub will be the starter for the time being. Meanwhile, Houston destroyed Rice after many people believed they wouldn't cover. I find that very interesting because Houston is favored in this game, and I honestly don't know why. Well, I can't. I will say this: it is a Friday game, so anything can happen. But it's Colorado. It's Big 12 play. I'm gonna go with the road team Colorado to take this one. But if Houston wins, don't be surprised. And next we have is Kansas State taking on Arizona. And this is a non-conference game. They scheduled a head-to-head before Arizona joined the Big 12. Just want to throw that out there. Kansas State losing to Army, which is the same Army that lost to Tarleton State in week 1. And now K-State is 1 and 2. And they probably did not see that coming from them. Meanwhile, Arizona beat Weber State. Okay, whatever. In this one, it honestly could go in any direction. I know these two teams played last year in a non-conference game, which Kansas State destroyed Arizona. But given that Kansas State have not been playing good football at any point this season, I'm gonna take Arizona to win at home. They'll beat Kansas State, but this might be the game. Watch, this will be the game Kansas State get it together. And then we got the Oregon Ducks taking on the Northwestern Wildcats. Oregon put up 69 points against Oklahoma State. Nice. While Northwestern put up an improved performance against Western Illinois. So, yes, it gives them a little confidence, but 27-point favorites, yeah, Oregon should take care of this one and put this team, put the foot where the neck, put the foot on their throat. And also let me say, week 5, when they play Penn State, that's going to be a fun one. And speaking of teams that needs to get it together, we got the Clemson Tigers taking on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackson. Clemson got off to a slow start. They were down 16 to nothing against Troy, but then they got it together, scored 27 unanswered to win the game. But something just felt off about Clemson, and this is me saying that they were going to be this was going to be a pretty special year for Clemson. Meanwhile, Georgia Tech destroyed Gardner Webb. Okay, who cares? And with this game being played in Georgia Tech, I know Clemson's favored, but I'm not liking how they're playing football right now. I'm not. But the question is for Georgia Tech. I've heard Haynes King might have got hurt last week. He might have did, might have didn't. I could be wrong. And I've gone back and forth on taking Georgia Tech. But you know what? Let's go for chaos. I'm going Georgia Tech to upset Clemson at home, getting their first win against the Yellow Jacket in what seems like a decade. Now we got the Wisconsin Badgers taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Wisconsin played a much better game against Middle Tennessee. They could probably get Billy Edwards back for this one, while Alabama silenced doubters by shutting out Louisiana Monroe 73 to nothing. Okay, what do you want, a cookie? Everyone, Alabama feel like, oh yeah, things are back to normal. Yeah, for now it is. Just wait till SEC play. And Alabama's 20-point favorites. I'm gonna. It's gonna be hard for me to pick against the Tide in this one. And now we got USC taking on Purdue. And this game, well, USC beat Georgia Southern. Purdue beat Southern Illinois. They have already improved from last year. So Purdue, hands up, round of applause to Purdue. They've got more wins this year than they did last year. But going up against the Trojans, yeah, that's not looking that promising. And now that they're about to start Big Ten play, it's going to be tough sledding from here on out for Purdue. Now we got the backyard brawl where the Pitt Panthers take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. Pitt took care of Central Michigan, while West Virginia lost on the road to the Ohio Bobcats. Yeah, that's very concerning. And because of that, and Pitt being favored by almost a touchdown, I gotta go with Pitt to win this one. But West Virginia, even though this is a rivalry game, they could make this interesting. But now, Pitt, I do think they're the better team. Now you're probably wondering, what am I doing predicting a group of five matchup? Group of five versus Power Four with the USF Bulls taking on the Miami Hurricanes. Well, if you don't know, USF got its second ranked victory this season over Florida. They won on a game winning field goal, and everyone now is calling for Billy Napier's job. While Miami beat Bethune Cookman. Who cares? And while I'm going to go ahead and pick Miami to win this game, I need to issue a stern warning to the Hurricanes. Do not take the Bulls lightly like Florida did and Boise State. Because if you do, this could be a long game for you guys. I'm going to take Miami. I'm going to go ahead and take Miami to win this one. And then we have the Arkansas Razorbacks taking on the Ole Miss Rebels. Arkansas beat Arkansas State in the first ever matchup between these schools. I'm actually surprised on that stat. While Ole Miss got revenge over Kentucky and they made it look harder than it seemed. And with this game being played in Ole Miss, and with Ole Miss being favored more than a touchdown, I'm going to take the Rebels to win. But I do think Arkansas will give this a really good battle. And then we have the Florida Gators taking on the LSU Tigers. And this would have been a prospect for game of the week if Florida would have just took care of USF instead of letting them hang and then lose. And now things are going to look very, very hard for Florida as they have the hardest schedule by a long shot in the SEC. Might have one of the hardest schedules of the season. And they're taking on third-ranked LSU, who beat Louisiana Tech. While LSU defense is looking good, their offense, okay. I would say this, offense could look better. Maybe they just need some time to get in sync. And I think this is the perfect game for them to do that. Death Valley at night, I'm not going against that at all. Unless they're playing Alabama at home, of course. But that's not happening this season. LSU wins. And I think they win pretty soundly, too. And then we have another prospect of game of the week where Texas A&M takes on Notre Dame. These two teams met week 1 last season where Notre Dame went on the road, went to College Station, walked out of there with the W. But A&M last week beat Utah State, and Notre Dame's coming off a bye week after a tough week 1 loss, and they're giving Notre Dame almost a touchdown over A&M. But this will be a good test to see where A&M's at, because a lot of people are hyping them up as a possible college football playoff team. For me, I still want to see a little more. And I do think this is going to be a really close battle. I don't see a lot of scoring in this one. I'm going ahead to take Notre Dame to win this game, but I will say they will not cover. And then we got a game on the SEC Network where the Vanderbilt Commodores take on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Vanderbilt scoring 37 unanswered points to overtake Virginia Tech. In other words, they also shut them out in the second half. They'll be taking on South Carolina, who beat South Carolina State. Okay, who cares? And this game's being played in, I like to call it the sandstorm. And a sandstorm at night, that's going to be an intense environment. I'm gonna go ahead and take South Carolina to win for now. But Vanderbilt, if they end up going on the road and getting the win, I won't be surprised. Actually, I'll be also be kind of happy to see them do that. And then we got two more after dark games where Minnesota takes on the California Bears. Minnesota, they gashed Northwestern State, and while they did took the foot off the gas in the second half, before a weather delay mercifully ended that massacre, while California beat Texas Southern. And they're giving Minnesota 2.5 points in this one. But this is an after dark game. You never know what happens in these matchups. And right now I am feeling California's JKS at quarterback. California, you're gonna have to pony up some money if you want to keep him around, or else that guy's gonna hit the portal. And even though Minnesota's favored by 2.5, I'm taking California to win. And then we have Boston College taking on Stanford. Stanford was pretty useless against BYU, and Boston College had a tough double overtime loss to Michigan State. And I know Boston College is pretty hungry, angry, upset about what happened last week. And I know 50 people are probably going to be at the Stanford game. I'm taking Boston College to. They should get the win. Keyword should. And finally, we have our game of the week. The Georgia Bulldogs taking on the Tennessee Volunteers in an early SEC matchup. Whoever thought these two teams, SEC openers, would be against each other. Georgia beating Southern P, they had to overcome a weather delay, and Tennessee thrashed Eastern Tennessee State. And this game will be played in Neyland Stadium, so this is going to be a rocking environment. Georgia, they've looked, so far the first 2 weeks, they've looked good and bad at the same time. Look good, but I know they're not in peak form. That's how I should have said it. Like a lot of teams, they're not in peak form. But right now, even though Tennessee's playing good on offense, I do like what Aguilar's been doing at quarterback. I gotta go with the Bulldogs to win. I think the defense is gonna be the X factor in this game. And Georgia, they have it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Georgia to win this game. And on that note, that ends college football week 3 predictions. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Gamble safely, and I'll see you next time.